This is QTV News. I am Marietu Sidibe and thanks for joining us. Coming up, Indian President wraps up Gambia visit. 2 men have been arrested and are in custody following a massive drug seizure. 48 blocks of what are believed to be cocaine have been impounded by drug enforcement officials following a search of a shipping container. For more on this and other stories, stay tuned. Indian President Ram Nath Kovind on Thursday left the country after a historic 3-day visit to the Gambia. He was seen off by President Adama Barrow, who had earlier returned from Mauritania, where he attended the swearing of new President Mohamed Ghazouani. Aliou Cisse reports.
The visiting Indian President Ram Nath Kovind has ended his historic visit to the Gambia. He is being seen off by the President and His Excellency Adama Barrow, the Vice President and other senior government officials. This is the first time that the sitting Indian President is visiting this country. And during his visit, they have signed a lot of agreements that is expected to impact positively on the life and livelihoods of Gambians. Earlier on, the Gambian leader arrived from Mauritania, where he witnessed the swearing-in of the new president. He's been speaking to waiting reporters shortly after arrival on the importance of this visit and his visit to Mauritania.
The Indian president's trip to the Gambia is very, very important. Not important for Gambia alone, but for the entire sub-region. As I said, this is the biggest democracy in the world. 900 million voters. If they can vote peacefully, I think that's an inspiration to the whole of Africa and to the whole of the world. It will impact the Gambia very well because we have very good relationship between India and Gambia. And there are things that we discuss, that we are pending. His visit here, he was able to confirm us. Especially we were having an approved loan of 92 million for the port. But now we want it for our infrastructure, our road infrastructure. And that have been approved. So obviously I think it's very important and it's a big achievement for Gambia.
What is next after his visit now in terms of making follow-up the rest of these agreements are implemented?
After he left, I think it's left for the Foreign Affairs Ministry and other institutions to follow up so that it can be real. Now it's a dream.
You just returned from Mauritania where you witnessed the swearing of the new President Ghazouani. And then over the years we have seen Gambia and Mauritania, the relationship has been very smooth. What are you expecting from the new President?
Yes, I was having a visitor. That is the Indian President. But it was a matter of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. My engagement with the President was already finished. My only engagement was the one I did now. So I said, let me rush to Mauritania. Looking at the geography and the relationship between us and Mauritania, I think it was important for me to go there. There's another importance connected to this. This is the first time in the history of Mauritania for a smooth transition to take place in that country. A smooth transition, for that matter, is very important for our democracy. It's very important for Africa. That means Africa is moving. That means Africa is changing. And I think it is a lesson for every African president to make sure we copy the model of Mauritania. After independence, this is the first time. That is history. So it was good that Gambia is part of that history. And that's what we are praying for. That's what we are working for. Our direction is towards that so that we have something like that in the Gambia for the first time also in our history. That's why I was there, and I think it was important, and our presence was also felt, and they really appreciate our presence, because knowing very well that we have a very important visitor, but within that period we were able to go to Mauritania and attend and come back. So we were able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Narcotic officers of the Gambia Drug Agency seized 48 blocks of cocaine on Saturday and arrested 2 suspects, Mahdi Tajuddin, a Gambian, and Osama Mahmoud, a Lebanese businessman. Our reporter Momodu Gajaga went with the narcotic officers to a store containing the seized drugs after first visiting a warehouse harboring the container where the cocaine was discovered.
Drug traffickers are often a few steps ahead of narcotic officers, but better communication and information volunteered by the public can stem the tide and assist the fight against the drug trade. What appeared to be nothing but a 20-foot shipping container was found instead to contain not only bags of sugar bound for the local market, but was later found to have 4 loose bags containing a total of 48 blocks of cocaine. Yasin Dimbalan is the Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia.
At the exhibit store, we are just from the stores there, the main stores at Bond Road. And then here is our own exhibit store, that is for the agency. Initially, as I said during the press conference, the first seizure was 6 blocks, that's over there, and then the 20 blocks respectively. And then when our officers were informed, it was during a further search that the remaining 12 blocks and 10 blocks were also recovered. That was in the other 2 bags. In total, you have 48 blocks.
During a press conference earlier, she explained how officers made the first seizure and how subsequently bundles were later found.
On Saturday, the 27th July, a Mauritanian businessman, Sidi Ahmed, bought a 20-foot container marked CAXU 6080692 of sugar from Laura Food Company, which was delivered to him. The container was part of a consignment of 30 by 20-foot containers of white crystal sugar ordered from Toyota Tisoho Sugar Trading Limited, a company based in the UK. While offloading the sugar at his shop at Picton Street in Banjul, the laborers discovered 2 loose bags containing 20 blocks and 6 blocks of what was suspected to be cocaine, respectively. The laborers then informed the buyer, Sidi Ahmed, who also called the attention of the supplier, Mahdi Tajuddin, who happens to be the sales manager of Laura Food Company. Mahdi then instructed Ahmed Ali, an employee of Laura Food Company, to go and verify what was discovered, and upon providing feedback, Mahdi came to the scene to see for himself. Having been shown the blocks, he instructed for the container to be escorted to their warehouse at Bond Road, and then informed his uncle, Mohammed Nazar, proprietor of Kairaba Shopping Center. Mr. Nazar then contacted Mohammed Zaid, who advised them to contact our agency, that is the league, which they did. On arrival, the league officials were shown the 2 bags containing 26 blocks of cocaine. Subsequent search resulted in the discovery of additional 2 bags containing 10 and 12 blocks of cocaine, respectively.
West Africa is one of the main transit points for drugs such as cocaine bound for the American and European markets. More than 1 ton of marijuana and other hard drugs have been seized by narcotic officers of the Gambia between January 2019 to date. Gambia recorded the biggest drug seizure in West Africa when 2.5 tons of cocaine with a market value of $1 billion was seized in 2012. A joint operation by officers from the Gambia and officers of Britain's Serious Organized Crime Agency led to more than a dozen arrests. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
We will go with a short commercial break, and the news continues when we return.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
To build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With a touch of your fingers,
With ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is QTV News. The national validation on electoral reforms has taken place following a series of consultations with stakeholders on the Gambia's electoral processes by the Independent Electoral Commission. Jenaba Sonko was in attendance and she now reports.
Reforms in different areas was among the promises made by President Adama Barrow. Considering the acknowledged existing gaps in the electoral laws, there is a need for electoral reform. Stakeholders' consultations were held to encourage participation from grassroots of the electorate. The regional consultations focused on some key areas of the electoral process, namely demarcation, registration of voters, nominations, campaigning, political finance and media, voting and counting, amongst others. Amisila from Doi says electoral reform is necessary to give women, differently abled and youth a chance to participate in politics.
The area that is to be changed is women participation, because now it's very restricted. They are asking for more money and also for more things that don't favor women, because women are back. So we have to really level the ground so that the fees should not be increased. They can say that you can increase the nominators that will favor women, because if you are really loved by your community, nominators will come and favor you. And then the fees should be reduced, or definitely to be made favorable to women, because women do not have money. And even if you have patron, they are going to control you. And we don't want women to be controlled. We want real sovereignty so that women can represent and be represented. And also differently abled, they are being discriminated, and the youth. So definitely they should not increase the fees. What I was emphasizing, let them increase the nominators, so the nominators can come nominate us and then we fill the position.
For Silla, prisoners should be allowed to vote, a view which the majority at the validation disagreed with. IEC Chairman Aliuma Manjai says the Gambia must shift from the marble to paper voting, considering the fact that 30 political parties want to register for the 2021 elections, which marble voting cannot satisfy. He welcomes the interest of Gambians to form political parties.
It's good news because the freedom and democratic system that now entails the Gambia, that's why people are interested to form parties. And each of them is interested to be the president. And we can only have one president at a time. But nevertheless, they have to demonstrate their keen interest in participating in the political process.
He explains the fate of the National Congress Party, who were suspended by the IEC for holding two separate congresses.
They are still under suspension, and we have to remind them that there is a time limit in which they have to address this issue. If not, we just have to deregister them. So they have been informed.
The big question is, are the two camps of the National Congress Party ready to put differences aside to hold a single Congress to stand a chance of meaningfully contesting in the 2021 presidential elections? Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenaba Sonko.
After completing of a 1-year, 7-month sycamore tree project, training on peace and justice, inmates at the State Central Prison, Mile 2, were awarded certificates for undertaking the training and transforming their lives. QTV's Malik Nyang was there and he now reports.
The Sycamore Tree Project on Peace and Justice aims to transform the lives of inmates through giving them skills training, as well advocating for peace, justice, and rule of law in society. The Prison Fellowship Initiative helps inmates to pursue their ambitions, enabling them to realize and accept responsibility for their mistakes and to seek to make a better life for themselves. In a bid to build mutual understanding between offender and victim, the STP also utilizes a curriculum that sharpens the psychological and physical conduct of inmates. In his presentation, the Executive Director of Prison Fellowship, The Gambia, Abraham, said that without peace, there can be no harmonious life, and explained his organization's objectives.
You don't begin to profile a solution unless you identify the problem. That is why STP is a program that runs over 8 sessions, 8 courses, or rather a course that runs over 8 sessions. So the first session usually is to identify crime, what it is, and the implications of crime. For most people, crime is just an offense that is committed on the one hand, and on the other hand, for the justice system, You take them, throw them in the prison, throw the key away, and you've solved the problem. But we all know that that never solves the problem. It neither stops others from doing or even the offenders from reoffending.
He added that statistics show that in some countries, the rate of reoffending is as high as 60 to 70%, meaning out of 10 people who leave prison, 6 or 7 return. The Deputy Director General of the Gambia Prison Service, Landing Jaju, said that the STP project on peace and justice trained 362 inmates, of which 72 graduated and transformed their lives. He went on to say that there is therefore no doubt that the STP is one of the rapidly growing effective and efficient training schemes done in the prison, which manifested a positive output in a short time.
This training had influenced the lives of these inmates, in which they are goodwill ambassadors to their fellow inmates through their comportment, conduct, and the law abiding, in which they refrain themselves from any form of violence and the disturbance while in custody.
The Assistant Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Interior, Manding Seidikan, quoted that not all convicts are criminals and not all criminals are convicted. That is to say, being in prison doesn't mean you are the worst or your life ends, he said, but it means people make mistakes and should take responsibility for their mistakes and reconcile. He acknowledged the work of the Prison Fellowship in facilitating and enlightening inmates in preventing reoffending.
It is undeniable that most, if not all, of the inmates who have been released from prison after being through this program have not reoffended. With this, I can boldly say that the Psychomotrix project is one of the ways of fighting recidivism.
An inmate and facilitator, Tariq Bright, said that after completing the SDP courses on peace and justice, it has opened his eyes and taught what crime means. He said crime not only affects the offender, it goes through to have a ripple effect on the victim.
When a crime is committed and the offender is convicted and sent behind bars, it does not only affect him alone, but his immediate family, his extended family members, and even the victim's family.
Furthermore, he said we should all live a crime-free life because crime leads to backwardness. In that regard, inmates agreed that the word crime will no longer be in their dictionary after transforming their lives into being responsible individuals in a society. At the end of the ceremony, certificates were issued to inmates complimenting their efforts during the course, as well as their willingness to incorporate values of good citizenship. Malik Nyang for QTV News.
Gambian pilgrims are having a great time in Medina visiting religious sites. Our QTV reporter Babakar Sise is with Tiwawan Travel and Tours, and he files in this report.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
It is customary for pilgrims to visit historical religious sites in Medina before Hajj begins in Mecca. During most of these visits, men and women are kept apart. The women who traveled with Tiwawan Travel and Tours visited the final resting place of the Holy Prophet Muhammad and two of his companions buried beside him, Abu Bakr Siddiq and Omar bin Khattab. After the visit, the managing director of Tiwawan Travel and Tours, Aja Mariama Adulet C, explains.
Today we went to do the ziyarah at Al-Rawda, at the Rawda of the Prophet Muhammad Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We went to do our ziyarah to him, alhamdulillah, and after that we did prayers at the ziyarah Abu Bakr Siddiq, we did the ziyarah to Omar bin Khattab, we did the prayers for the Bahia, at Bahia, the graveyard of Bahia, alhamdulillah, where Aisha is Sayyidah Aisha is Sayyidah Fatima, alhamdulillah. After that we went to visit the Quran exhibition, where the first we saw the where the first Quran was binded, was made by the Sahabas, but binded in Turkey and exhibited back in the exhibition center here. We're hoping to go and do the Kuluzia tomorrow at Masjid Uhud, Masjid Hebelataini and Mount Uhud, inshallah. And then get ready for the recitation of the Kamil, go to Masjid Ijaba, inshallah, do our shopping, and start getting ready to go to Makkah, inshallah.
One of the pilgrims says she is delighted to have the opportunity to see where the Prophet is buried. We saw where the Holy Prophet and some of his companions were laid to rest. We also went over here where others were buried. Another pilgrim said her family expressed concern about her health condition, but she said she is getting strong and enjoying the momentum. Islam is the best religion and all should embrace it. If you see the Grand Mosque, you think you are already in Mecca. I have seen everything. In the next coming days, pilgrims will visit the mountain of Uhud, where about 70 or 75 Muslims were killed during the Battle of Uhud, including the Prophet's own uncle Hamza. From there, they will also visit two holy mosques, one Masjid Qiblateni and the other one Masjid Quba. Babkar Sise, QTV News, Madinatul Munawwara.
Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's take a quick look at our main stories. Indian President Ram Nath Kovind on Thursday left the country after a historic 3-day visit to the Gambia. He was seen off by President Adama Barrow, who had earlier returned from Mauritania, where he attended the swearing of new President Mohamed Ghazouani. 2 men have been arrested and are in custody following a massive drug seizure. 48 blocks of what are believed to be cocaine have been impounded by drug enforcement officials following a search of a shipping container. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thank you for watching.